Previously on Reckless Attack. The 4 members of the Golden Tree Adventuring Guild spend their time celebrating with the rest of Agmar at the Day of Returning Festival. Valeska teaches her mentees the value of a good education by counting the number of beans in a jar, while Stelv has a run-in with a Goliath that has him needing to take a bath. Meanwhile, Kaskrin starts off his Pog collection, and Checkers finds new ways to scare his friends. Find out what happens next on Reckless Attack.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Nathan.
Hi. Welcome to another episode of Reckless Attack, a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast.
Yeah, woo, nice.
I really I went a little too breathy with it, and I really ran out of steam right at the end. I'm sure that some
Really ran out of air at the end of there.
My podcast. Hey, I'm DM Nathan. I am your dungeon master of ceremonies here whenever you're listening to it, here on this hopefully lovely whatever day you are also listening to our podcast, joined once again by the excellent players here around the table at Reckless Attack Studios, the premier producer of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast content. For starters, I would like, let's all just, before we rush in, let's introduce ourselves. To my right is...
Hi, everyone. My name is Steve, and I am playing Sølv Asterlin, the Dragonborn monk, who put a little pause in between the first and last name there for...
Asterlin.
Yes.
Sølv Asterlin.
Just for clarification and enunciation. And, Sølv's looking forward to taking a dip in either the Waveless Lake. Waveless Lake, or perhaps the pond back at the guild hall.
Hot spring, thank you.
Not a
Hot
pond.
spring back at the guild hall.
Yeah, exactly. Still covered in flour.
And covered in flour because there was an air quote incident. End air quote.
A natural one.
Yes, a natural incident, a natural one. A natural one. And we're gonna kick it diagonally across the table from me.
Hi, everyone. It's Jonathan, and I play Checkers, the Grung Druid, and his trusty frog pals, Mango and Junior. And Checkers has spent the whole day making a life-size replica of Alareth. Has just been hiding it in places, trying to spook people, and it's been the best thing ever. So that's how he's been spending his day.
A day well spent.
Yeah, it's festival day. You can just do whatever you want, right? That's the whole point of the festival.
There's no laws.
Yeah. All of Checkers' crimes are forgiven,
It's
right?
the purge, but for wood carving.
Yes.
I just imagine Checkers like springing out every so often, being like, "You just got Alareth," and then takes his gigantic wood carving and goes somewhere
Just
else.
slowly drags it.
Pay no attention to the frog behind the mirror.
Technically, Checkers' crimes have paid off in the form of us winning the scavenger hunt. So
Right?
I mean, crime does pay.
There's a reason you kept him here this whole time.
Checkers, do more crime.
And the person who is very approving of Checkers' crimes.
It's not me.
No one
You
speaks
looked
out.
you looked at me, but it was not me.
No. Hi, everyone. I'm David, and I play Kaskrin Brightmane, the Dwarven Warlock, who has now discovered a new hobby in collecting fogs.
God, I thought about that for days after our last recording of just pogs.
We have discussed this. We may actually make some.
I would like to note that Steve had no idea what pogs were.
Yeah. Which is the most surprising.
We talked about something Steve did not know about, and I was
that's so
like,
like us.
known.
My age group. This is a little bit after my time, in that the age group that would have played with it I was older than when they came out, I think.
I don't know if we were even I feel like
I got down with pogs.
I booked with some pogs for sure. And don't isolate that, because pogs can mean many different things on the internet.
Correct.
Do you know it's like passion fruit, orange, and guava?
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah. Because
Wait.
Steve didn't know what Pogs were, so we were Googling it earlier.
It actually stands for.
It's a juice
Yeah.
brand, and you used to play it with that brand of juice like caps, because Pogs have been around forever, and you used to play with like milk bottle caps or juice caps.
Is that real? Because I've had
Yeah.
Pog
That is
many
according
times.
to the BuzzFeed article of what the fuck are Pogs.
I mean, that sounds like legitimate journalism to me. So I will not question any further. Fascinating.
Yeah.
And across the table from me,
Pog enthusiast.
Pog historian,
Yeah.
Sophie.
documentary.
Our next deep dive.
Yes, hi, I am Sophie, and I did play a lot of Pogs when I was younger.
A Pog champ, if you will.
Pog champ. And
I got David.
That was good.
I knew that was going to be a Zang specific reference, and I got him.
I play Valeska Carter, the redacted asterisk. I don't know what
The question mark.
cleric of the Arcana domain.
Perfect. Again, flawless.
Yep.
Well, everyone, we've had a very nice day so far, I would say, at the Day of Returning Festival in the Red City of Agmar. You have gone about your day. You have witnessed a few very interesting events, some rites, some time-honored traditions, and also you have collected Pogs and gone on a scavenger hunt, which, you know, I think are all...
And one.
Yeah,
and,
it's true.
and with a perfect score.
Yeah, exactly.
Little known prophecy, though. There's, if anybody should ever get all parts of the scavenger hunt, a great darkness shall descend on the city.
And that's when the portal opens up. You guys, now you know you have several more hours until you really start needing to be, we'll say, aware of any sort of, we'll say, supernaturally attack kind of things that may or may not happen later tonight, probably in the darkness. So, you still have a little bit of time on your hands
Hey.
to do whatever it is that you guys would like to do, whether it is preparation, whether it is just like, hey, we are just going to keep relaxing, we're going to keep having a nice day and not giving ourselves too many tummy aches and going about our days accordingly. We zoom in on, we will say, just the four of you guys. Urga will have gone back to the guild hall to ensure that Taroth is not doing something
Untoward.
untoward is the correct word, thank you, towards the giant Skywell prize that Val received for perfectly counting the beans last time.
Sorry, I just remembered that anytime Checkers places kazoo, I have to cast Thaumaturgy.
That's right. And Checkers has a kazoo. I did forget about that, which is...
It will come up many times
I was gonna
in the
say,
episode today.
It will not be
my
forgotten, I think.
I'm actually a little surprised you didn't bring one in.
I'm a little
Oh.
disappointed,
Yeah.
actually.
I should have. All right, next time.
Well, we can add that in post, right?
Yeah.
And then just, I'm imagining an isolated, just,
Yeah.
and then back
This
to
is how
radio
we
audio.
spend our next amount of Patreon money is just getting composed kazoo music
Yes.
for Checkers.
Yeah.
A custom Checkers score only using a kazoo.
Yeah, he becomes a kazoo virtuoso.
or a checkers inscribed kazoo that we could put on
Ooh.
on the
Get a stamp.
on the merch sites.
Yeah.
But we zoom in on the four of you guys, and I am imagining you guys kind of just like chatting, walking somewhere just through one of the busy festival streets of the Red City. And I am imagining one of the four of you, or multiple of the four of you, are holding whatever the fantasy equivalent of a small-ish sized plastic trophy is for your great glorious victory,
Oh,
including your tickets.
Val would for sure hold on to that.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep.
Yep, that makes sense. I wasn't sure if it's going to be a
Silver-
multiple people kind of thing.
Silver Cass would have the tickets, but Val would want to hold the trophy.
I think Kaskrin would have the tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad vibes.
Yeah, but it's like a bundle of tickets, like an armful of tickets.
Well, no, so it'd be one ticket specifically for the scavenger hunt for a show.
Right.
But then there are also like probably
Your prize,
game.
your Chuck E. Cheese
yeah,
tickets,
yeah, yeah,
additionally.
Yes, yes.
Right,
I am holding on to the Chuck E. Cheese tickets.
Okay. Okay.
I don't want those tickets.
Yeah.
I
So,
want
so
my
yeah,
Chuck E.
Cass,
Cheese
Cass
tickets.
has the Chuck E. Cheese tickets.
Yes.
Self has the tickets for
prize
the performance.
tickets.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't care about those tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Val
so-
is holding the trophy and also just constantly casting thaumaturgy on Checker's kazoo.
Checkers is both alternating between playing his kazoo and just like chucking jelly beans into the air and catching them.
Oh, that's right. I forgot your jelly beans. Wow, we really covered a lot of ground last episode.
a lot happened.
So the four of you are walking, and you are chattering about your day, about maybe what you want to do next, about reliving your glorious triumph, when you guys catch sight of a familiar wooden face that does turn and look at you.
Wow,
Unlike
Checkers, this
the
carving is
other
really good.
18 times that you have seen this particular wooden face.
For the rest of the campaign, you will have to specify.
Unfortunately, I think I will, and I will forget, and then you will just, with a huge shit-eating grin, look over at me and be like, which one? And I know it, and I'm going to walk into it, and that'll be fine. The real Alarith PI tree guy is leaning up against a nondescript building, looking in all of his fine trench coatery.
a trench coat.
A tree. Have we made that joke? I can't remember.
No,
I don't think
so.
so.
That's a good
That's a
one.
fresh joke.
That was
jokes.
That was courtesy of my friend Jeff. So thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. And he kind of gives you guys, does one of those where he runs his finger along his fedora brim and gives you guys a little salute, waving you guys over.
Val enthusiastically waves back and walks over to him.
Wow, I didn't know you can make the move. Oh, it's real. It's real.
What do you mean it's real?
All right, don't worry about that one. And Catherine just goes
Val just like
it's funny if you don't know.
scans the crowd and points to that and sees the very top of fake Alaric.
It's just always somewhere.
Oh, Checkers, I think Checkers has just like excused himself for like a minute every 20 minutes.
And moved it
And
somewhere.
moved it.
It's gonna be one of those things in TV shows, like in sitcoms, where like in Psych, there was a pineapple in almost in the background of almost every single shot of the entire
Yes.
show.
Yep.
Now there's just you will
like-
be somewhere on another dimension, and there will somehow be an Alarith carving. in the
No,
background.
this is gonna be like the angel, where like you just look around, like you look behind you and it's there.
No,
Way
not the
creepier.
weeping angels.
Yeah.
God.
And he looks over at the carving and kind of squints, and then looks back at you guys and just kind of shakes his head.
It's been a great day.
It's good to hear. How's everyone holding up?
Great, we won the scavenger hunt.
Yeah, surprisingly well. It's been a relaxing day, which is what any of us could really have asked for.
It's great to hear. I heard you did good work outside of the walls the other day. Sorry I wasn't there to greet you. I had other matters to attend to. But glad you all seem to be in good spirits and happy and healthy here ahead of what we think is happening tonight.
Are you sticking around for later tonight, Alarith? Are you going to be here?
Well, I haven't decided yet. It's a tricky thing. The four of you know where you need to be. I haven't seen this creature. So does that mean that I should be there? Does it mean that I shouldn't be there? Does it mean that I just wander these mean streets of the Red City and see where these tree stumps take me? I don't know. But no, I'm sure I won't be far.
You could help triage.
Val politely puts a hand over her mouth to stuffle a laugh because unsure how tree related humor is received.
He looks at the other three of you and he says, I'm sorry, I thought you guys were taking it easy. Did Selv get more wisdom damage, or what's happening here?
No, this is fine. Sometimes it's
Self just kind of Self just kind of looks at him, still half covered in flour.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, it's been a great day.
There was an incident with a Goliath. We'll take care of him.
No more information needed. Thank you. I'm glad I ran into you all. I've just been, again, wanted to check in, see if there was anything you needed, any questions, anything that you need these last few hours, whatever they may be.
I understand and sorry to bring the conversation down a bit, that your client has a need for privacy, but can you just outright tell me what his fear was? Because I'm not picking up what you're putting down, and it's driving me a little bit insane. Curiosity's killing the cat.
Well, broadly speaking, I don't know for sure. He has continued to be cagey, and he's my employer, and so I know when to stop asking questions, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
My best guess, based off of who he, she, they may be, I think it was some sort of a manifestation of, well, because it was as if they're disemboweled. My best guess is that it was actually a fear of going hungry, of something, of poverty, I'm not sure. But that's my best guess. But
Okay.
He hasn't found it useful to tell me.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Have you heard any reports during the festival of anything else odd happening, any incidents? And I ask because we suspect this thing was summoned here. And I'm wondering if there's anything that needs to be done, maybe to complete the summoning, complete the ritual before tonight.
He kind of strokes whatever mossy facial hair that he has, and he looks over at you and he says, it's hard to say. Not that I'm aware of. I read the same reports that I assume you did, that Val wrote up, that the town guard wrote up. And I think at this point, we don't know enough to say.
I'm asking if you've heard anything going on today. Any rumblings, anyone, any whispers, any gossip of like, hey, that was weird, or like, where these 4 guys go, I don't know.
Well, if you know me, I like to keep an ear on the ground to whatever's happening here in this red city of ours. And not that I've heard.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep in contact with the town guard. We're working together on this to an extent, as much as my profession allows, of course. But they haven't said anything. I think they're being tight-lipped to ensure there's no, we'll say, problems with causality.
Sure.
Later this evening. In fact, I assume that whoever is there on the ground, wherever this is happening, will be able to tell you, but my guess, they probably haven't even told all the members of the town guard yet that there's going to be an attack tonight.
Right.
That does make things complicated.
That does.
Yes. Yes, it does. I don't envy those guardsmen, but that's why I like to stay independent. I'll let you 4 get back to your day. Take care of yourselves. I'll be around. And he gives you another one of his little fedora kind of salutes and then steps backward into the wall of the wooden building that he's been leaning on. And
Do we
is gone.
hear somebody like gasp in surprise? Oh my god!
You see Alareth jump out a window? That's not canon. Maybe it is. I don't know. We'll see. The 4 of you have gotten that little bit of information and check-in, but no attack has happened. You still have several hours even before sundown. And you also know, for those of you who are interested in the Ember Sage Obelisk rite, there are 2 more opportunities probably today around sunset and again at midnight at the end of everything.
When you say the end of everything,
I wouldn't worry about it, Steve.
I think that really makes the outcome of our combat put it in context.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. So, knowing you guys have a couple more hours, what would you like to do?
As we end the conversation with Alarith, Val turns to the group. Like, speaking of being around, where did Etrus go to? He just disappeared, and I feel bad that I just realized this.
I have not heard anything explode recently.
I thought he was supposed to be manning one of the booths or something. Wasn't he volunteering today?
Did anyone hang out with Etrus for any length of time over the last couple of days?
Val would have for sure made him come into each meal.
Right.
And like caught up and chatted.
If he stayed for any meals, then we would have, because we kind of eat together.
Perfect. Well, and I think especially with the high passive insights that are among this group with all the wisdom characters, you would have noticed, and maybe this is how it came up, you would have noticed that he was in his weird shed even more than usual the last several days. In fact, like you said, you really haven't seen much of him other than when you have dragged him out for a meal or brought it out to him or needed, I don't know, some sort of like horrible alchemical errand done. Oh yeah, no, I got big plans. Big plans for that day. For the day of returning.
Can you please be more specific, Etrus?
And say it in a less creepy voice, please. It would be deeply appreciated.
He says, well, you know what I got? You know what I got cooking? Well, I'm not going to tell you specifically what I got cooking because I like surprises. I am going to enter into the Fair of Progress.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's awesome.
Ah.
So I will be spoken for that afternoon, and then I will be showing off my latest and greatest concoctions.
Interesting. Any
Can
hints,
we get a sneak peek?
clues? A teaser?
You and anyone who is around will find it quite incendiary.
I love the opposite reaction of Checkers and Val had to that statement. Pure, unadulterated delight.
Yeah.
Deep concern.
Yeah, and I'm just imagining, other than Checkers giggling, just like a moment of stunned silence
Yeah.
at the table.
And then Checkers and Etrus just high five.
Yeah. We have our own secret handshake at this point.
yeah, and then we snap cut back to the present. So so that is where Etrus has been. He has been at the Fair of Progress, which actually is probably getting close to winding down.
Val
right about
immediately
now.
remembers that and is like, we gotta go. There's like a finale showing, and that's the last one we can catch. Anybody want to see an incendiary performance by Etrus? We gotta book it. Val looks at Checkers.
Yeah. I know a shortcut.
Great, let's go. Look back at Cass and Sel.
Is,
Are you
I was gonna say,
coming?
is everyone going? Or do you have other things you'd like to do this afternoon?
Yeah, Selv will go.
You would have time. It's ending soon, but
out of concern.
Yeah. I want to see it, but I'm more just like, if Etrus blows something up, maybe we can like fade into the shadows.
you're not up.
Yeah.
You're not in the
Yeah.
front row.
Yeah.
And
He's not wearing his guild badge, is he?
Well,
no identifying
surely.
marks.
Yeah.
And Selv is mostly going because he has a limited ability to control fire, control flame just a little bit. So maybe if anything does seem to be going wrong, he can fix it before it becomes a giant problem.
Yeah, Checkers, you have control water, right?
Yeah. It'll be fine.
You-
I trust
yeah.
Etrus.
You won't,
Yeah.
but you have it.
That just
Why would I want to stop what's going on?
That also just reminds me, and I think Pathfinder, there are rules about alchemical fire where if you put water on it, it explodes. Like it does not go out.
Or spreads.
Yeah, or spreads or something. But I'm sure it'll be a
It'll be
totally
totally fine.
normal
I'll
thing.
totally put water on it, you know.
So the four of you guys race over to the museum square, which again is this really grand courtyard. Actually, it's one of the areas that you guys walked through as you were entering the city for the first time. The museums are there, and right now it is absolutely packed, filled with different carts and people hawking their wares, and there usually is a lot, but there's even more here. And you get various wafts of all kinds of delicious and terrible smells.
There is always time to stop at one of the many franchise stalls of Pete's Beans.
I was going to say, among the many smells, certainly, and again, maybe you don't even see it, but it all assaults your senses in ways that you can almost taste it. You certainly get the scent of a Pete's Meats stall at least once, if not 4 to 5 times across their even shortcut journey through the city. And you arrive to the square, which again, absolutely packed with all the different mortals that you have seen, and really highlights the amount of people and the diversity of people here in the Red City, all milling around, and many of them turned to a big stage that has been erected temporarily.
As we walk through, Val does stop at a Pete's Beat stall and gets like the special festival variety pack, one
Ooh.
each for everybody. So we have like, you know, like jerky popcorn
Yeah.
to eat while we watch.
And that
this
is
spectacle.
exactly what it is branded. It is branded as jerky popcorn, and it is popcorn and pieces of jerky, roughly the size of pieces of popcorn. And it's one of those where like, how does this work? But god damn it.
God
He
damn
did it
Pete.
again.
They did it again.
And without going too into it, Pete 100% remembers all of your names and is like, Gilders, hello. Hey there, Gilders. What can I interest you in some free samples and some of this and some of that? And somehow you've walked away with even more dried meats than you intended. But you all roll up now with pockets full of jerky as the gods intended.
Our pockets full and our hearts full.
Exactly. And
Pockets full and hearts clogged.
well, not yet. You haven't eaten all the jerky
That's
yet. Soon. And you see up on this stage, there are, kind of like an MC person, and there are 3 individuals who are all standing. One seems to be an elderly gnome who is standing next to what appears to be a giant metallic bull that is just standing there and kind of like doing a weird, like video game idling animation where it's
where like the bounce in Mortal Kombat kind of thing.
Exactly, where it's just kind of like, again, it's idling a little bit.
I would like to try and slip away.
I have an idea.
I would also like to say that Kaskrin is keeping a very close eye on Checkers as we are moving closer to this.
Oh my god.
Normally I would be assisting Cass in this, but there's about to be a science spectacle, so Val's eyes are only for the stage.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just imagining Checkers as like a leash kid. Just attached to Kaskrin.
He says the whole time like trying to get the leash off, just like, Cass, I'm not going to do anything. Come on.
You spend 10,000 gold pieces with like a fucking runic, like emblazoned
Harness with
for
a leash.
Checkers. Exactly.
There's also a little backpack on it.
Yes. To Bjorn it. You also see what appears to be a half-elf woman who is standing next to a large planter, basically. Kind of a long rectangle of different heights of like wheat or some sort of like grass kind of thing. As the MC is kind of like talking and getting the crowd up and interested, she's doing a demonstration of pouring something and then casting a spell over all of these things. And you see all of these crops grow and keep growing to the point where they like bust out of their little planter thing and the crowd like goes wild. And you also, the third person you see there is Etris.
Hey, Etris.
And
Val like runs up to the front and just like waving, like, "You got this!"
Etris absolutely sees you and does the same energy, like ignores and just like, hey, I'm up here.
Val's like double thumbs up. You got this.
Yeah.
And by that time, like the MC is like wandered at him and is like trying to get his attention. Excuse me, sir.
Val
sir.
like points to the MC like, "You gotta pay attention."
I know, I'm here. I'm up on the stage.
Tell the
I know.
MC.
And eventually you make it clear to him and he turns around and is like shaking, like actually jumps. And he's like, oh, all right.
Val slowly backs up now.
Yes. You actually see the other 2 stand there, but you see the MC also starts backing up. And probably you 4, more than anyone else in the audience, would notice that. And everyone else just seems to be like, yeah, this is cool. And you don't see Etris is not standing up there with anything. He just has his kind of usual belts and whatever. The only thing he has done to dress up for the occasion is he is wearing a little bow tie, but his usual like grimy work outfit.
So I imagine as we've kind of like all taken a couple steps back, Kaskrin has been like paying really close attention, like hearing the ground around him and like paying attention to the footsteps and looking for like one particular like flap, 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 flap that's still just like hitting the ground around him. And then as we all are like moving backwards, like he gets confused, and then once everyone stands still, he can't hear
nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing. He can't hear Checkers' footsteps anymore. He just looks around like, damn it, Checkers.
Jonathan, I am fine. It is busy enough and all eyes are up on this stage. You can have Checkers at any point that you deem appropriate.
Yes.
Jump in wherever, however, and whatever.
Cool.
Why ever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
For any
Whoever.
reason.
I don't care. And Etris does a couple of like dramatic hand flourishes, just kind of like trying to play up to the crowd and seem fancy.
Val will, as he does like the Vanna White to the right, to the left, be
Exactly.
like, ooh, ah.
You and 6 other people around you go like,
Yeah.
yeah, ooh.
Val is actively trying to be like a hype woman right now.
She like starts doing it and just by herself, and then she like hits Cascarin himself on the shoulder.
She also casts thaumaturgy to make it sound like more people are doing it.
Ooh,
Ooh. And Etris, in a very dexterous flourish, pulls out a small vial, like almost from up under his sleeve, like a magic trick. And he's just holding it and then presents it to the crowd and kind of like wiggles it, like enticing, like, ooh.
And then Selv will kind of look down at Val and just say,
That is small enough to worry me.
he just smells it like a cigar.
And he dramatically pops the cork and goes to drink it and then stops for a second and then looks down at Val and then takes another potion off of one of his, what are they
Bandolier.
called? Bandolier, exactly. And chucks it down to you. And he's just like, for one sec, you'll get 1 sec. And then fucking just slams it like a shot and just like drinks it down. And you see him very dramatically freeze and wait. And the whole crowd just like pauses. And just at the point where everyone is like,
Oh, thank goodness nothing is happening.
wait, yeah, exactly. Where it's like, well, wait, is this what's happening? Etris is consumed in eldritch purple flame. And it is this giant, like, not full column of fire, but just explosion. And people, like, you hear the crowd go, ah, and like avert their eyes for a second. And they eventually, everyone kind of like looks back over and you see that Etris is like the Human Torch, but with purple fire, and is just like standing there in the same position, looks around at everyone, is like, ta-da! Y'all, it's
Val carefully stows the potion that Etris gave her and just like starts wildly clapping and casting thaumaturgy to make it sound like more people are going insane too.
It takes like cast a minute, like, and then he starts clapping slowly. Yeah. It's like, am I supposed to be concerned?
Is this
or
good
like,
or is
yeah.
this bad? So everyone has now taken several steps back now, and you can see that on the stage itself are starting to form little like smoke footprint trails as he's just is like kind of like chaotically throwing Etris limbs around and like showing off. And then eventually you start to feel heat like generating more and more. And then he like looks at his hands and then he extends them out over the crowd, and then just 2 like Hadouken fireballs shoot out. And you can just hear over all of this, like, and he just starts boom, boom, shooting them out all over the place. And all you can hear, other than gasps, occasional applause, and probably a few people who are like, we should get out of here,
Yeah. It's like,
is Etris cackling. Yeah, this is perfect.
I would like to say, joining Etris cackling in the background would be Checkers standing on top of the mechanical bull creature. Just like as it's trying to shake Checkers off, Checkers is more or less just like standing there just staring at Etris, also just like
It's the Checkers Elmo gif,
Right.
with the fire in the background. And he just like keeps shooting things off, and the flame keeps growing bigger and bigger. and it starts to get to a point of like, oh, hold on.
So,
Val-
Selv has stopped with a small handful of the jerky popcorn, just kind of like partly into his mouth, and is just kind of like staring at Etris.
Selv, I think it might be time to throw this. You're better at throwing things. And Val will hand Selv the vial that Etris tossed.
Yeah,
her.
and it's like, well, and it's not even a vial. This one was like a pretty robust thing that he passed to you, like
okay.
a full softball size.
And at this point, too, like Cascarin has like kind of stopped clapping and is like actively concerned. 'Cause, like, not only is he like endangering the crowd almost, but like Cascarin's also starting to get a couple flashbacks of like, this has happened before
Yeah, right.
to him.
This is
we're
very
like
familiar.
He has seen people be immolated in not super fun ways.
Yeah, definitely. But Etris remains cackling. But as you were like, we need a plan, essentially.
Yeah.
Super suddenly as it turned on, the fire is gone. And all that remains is a lightly clothed Etris whose skin is clearly like singed. And he just like freezes and like immediately goes from 100 miles an hour to 0 miles an hour and is like, oh, ta-da.
And actually, this is going to sound very weird, but Selv looks and is what she is holding. Is that a salve?
You don't know? What you do see is Etris starts kind of doing that thing where you have like sunburn and don't want to move any of your joints. And as people are presumably like, yay, starts like walking off the stage and making like fervent eye contact with Val and
Val
Selv.
like runs up to Etris and like helps him off the stage and is like, "What do you need? That was awesome, but like you look hurt."
Just the potion.
Okay, so
Okay, I'll take the potion, undo it, and then just kind of like put it up to his lips.
No, just kind of a
jump
general,
over.
Yeah, a general dumping would be great.
I will spray
Wait,
some of the water.
Where's Checkers?
He was on top of the mechanical bowl.
Checkers.
Checkers.
Yes. Hi, it's me.
Pop out
Yeah.
from out of the frame.
Yeah, right. It is me.
Checkers.
That was awesome.
And he puts his hand out and like just lightly touches your face. Did I look cool?
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Science, bitch. And then he just
That was
like
awesome.
collapses. And that is Etris's entry.
Yay, Etris. Did he win?
No.
By no means.
No. And you guys wouldn't know this, but spoiler alert, he does not win. But he made it to the finals.
What was the prompt?
It was
anything?
Yeah, so yeah, you would know if anyone. I assume this is something that at least Val would have been like, I need to learn about this. It is really just a kind of like an exposition level where it's like, what's like, what are you working on? What's cool? Doesn't need to be like to promote the city or anything. It's just like, show us the cool stuff that you're working on. Some people from out of the city, some people from outside the walls of the city, all kinds of stuff come in just to show off the latest and greatest.
Cool.
I can only assume that because he was on stage, he had to have done this more than once before to get to this point.
Correct.
So he probably
Or
spent the
also for Etris, maybe not.
and Cascarin's like next to him as Selv is applying the other potion with like actual deep concern, like
Yeah.
just like really trying to make sure that he is as a fellow guilder is okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's all in good fun, but like Etris, you're gonna be okay, right? Like we're gonna take care of you.
I'm just imagining he has like only tatters left, if anything, just because we're a family show. And you see the only thing remaining is just his little Gilder pin, just on his barely there Hulk Bruce Banner t-shirt.
Val will wrap him in like her cloak and just start kind of getting him together, and we'll take him home.
And what would actually happen also is that there would be some like priests from the church who would be like, "Oh, we've got him from here.
Of course, there's a medical tent. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
There is precisely. It's like, oh, you know, this isn't the first thing today. This isn't the first thing from him today.
Yeah.
We're totally
Right.
prepared. we can ensure that he remains safe here for as long as he needs to heal. So yeah, you can leave him at the medical tent, and he's like, gives you just like the Terminator 2 shaky thumbs up as you guys leave the tent. He's clearly A-okay.
Val leaves. She'll just like go to his bed and be like, "You did look really awesome. That was very cool."
And he now is like barely conscious, but like in a happy way. And you see just like smiling a little bit, and just one single tear goes down his cracked, horrific skin. But you can and like lotiony skin now, I guess, at this point.
I wonder if he has one of those in a less self-conflagration.
I mean, he might, but why would he give that to you? That sounds stupid.
Please tell me this is the greater version and not the lesser version.
Oh, man. I can only imagine what the do fire on him potion we have from is now.
Do fire on
Jonathan / Checkers knows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not gonna tell you.
Gotta find out for yourself.
So, what else would you guys like to do with your day?
And if anybody else would like to go with, I am going to go to the Waveless Lake.
I'm okay, actually. I have a bit of spectating that I want to do, probably for the rest of the afternoon.
What are you going to do?
There is a self-defense contest that's been going on, so I might just hang out there and kind of... I don't think I'll participate, but I want to at least watch the contestants, see if I can see what's going on.
I suggest we meet back at the Amber Sage sunset.
All right, so we'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to the episode. We hope you've been enjoying it so far. If you are, come hang out with us on Twitter at reckless_attack or on Instagram at recklessattackpod. If you want to support us, check out our Patreon and Ko-fi, where we've got things like our How to Promo guide and custom adventures written by our very own cast. Don't forget to leave us a follow and a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. You can find links to all of our stuff on our website, recklessattack.com. And if you want a little bit of extra Reckless Attack, stick around to the end for a fun little blooper. Now, back to the episode.
At the Waveless Lake, there is a small line of people leading out the gates of the city to where the docks are. And we haven't gone too much there on air, but I know Checkers has spent a little bit of time there. And it is your usual fishing docks, basically. There are stalls for vendors, for people who are selling fish, that sort of thing. And but there is a small line there, and at the head of this line are a couple of priests who are all kind of wearing this white ceremonial garb. Most of them now are very off-colored because while it is waveless, it is still kind of a gross lake. And you see, as you guys are approaching, the priests are greeting the people who are kind of at the front of the line and leading them out into the lake and just kind of standing with them and talking with them and kind of being near them as they're doing this if they want. Some people put a hand in, some people just stand there, some people do a full kind of like dunking of themselves, and some people are going out for a swim and just kind of enjoying their time out there. No one's going too far out, but you see just kind of a nice, almost like ceremonial beach day.
Selv will wait in line until it's his turn. I don't know if Val is coming with.
Okay. Val is down for a ritual. She's into this kind of thing.
It's kind of her deal.
So Selv will be more inclined to move towards the group that looks like they are swimming. As he goes out there, he'll stop and whatever the small ritual the priest performs, he'll go ahead and do that.
And it's really just like as simple as like they greet you, they say, "Hello, welcome to the cleansing ritual. Would you care for an accompaniment out into the lake?"
Thank you, but I have brought my own.
And I'll actually gesture towards Val.
Val is like, while Selv is like knee deep, Val's like, her head is only above water.
Yeah.
And just like, hi.
She's already in there. And
I'm like
hi.
slightly treading.
And they just nod and say, of course, take your time.
Thank
and
you.
goes to the next person in line.
And Selv will walk until he's probably about waist-ish deep.
And this is where Val is.
Yeah, this is where Val's just the top of her head,
Yeah.
or like her nose and her eyes. And then I'm going to look around specifically for, first of all, kind of noticing the very odd no waves in the waveless lake.
Yeah, and as you walk in and the water is undisturbed, you can't even splash in it. That's like if you went and like slapped your hand at it, your hand just like moves through it. Like there's resistance, but it's like moving through an illusion or hologram, if that makes sense.
As I just like move my arm to think about it.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like,
We're all lightly swimming as we're like, oh, what would that be like?
fucking cool, but trippy.
Yes.
And then Selv's going to kind of look around the lake. He'll turn to Val and say,
Remember what happened the last time I did this? Keep an eye out for lobsters.
and then he dives forward into the lake and just makes no splash. Just,
Leaves Val chuckling behind.
and then and you can kind of see on the surface, just kind of floating there, is flour.
And I'm even imagining as you're like, if you haven't broken the water yet, there's almost, and Val, you can see this, there is almost a water bubble over Selv, where like instead of it kind of breaking, like there's almost like a surface tension where he's like a submarine and there's just like a little, like an inch of water over him until he gets to a kind of certain above the water, whatever, anti-depth,
yeah.
Get some surfaces. You get it.
Yeah.
Until that tension breaks on the...
Exactly.
and then I'll just swim out like 15 feet or so and then kind of like pop back up and then just kind of like tread water and kind of slowly breaststroke my way back.
Before you do that,
Oh boy. I told you to keep an eye out for lobsters.
I'm keeping an eye out.
Val, as Selv kind of emerges and is treading water, you see a large creature emerge
Vibe check.
behind him.
It's the turtle.
Hi,
I Sophie passed that vibe check
Yes.
and knew exactly what was
100%.
happening.
100%. So,
Val will be like, Self! And it's the turtle.
yes, Selv, you hear from behind you your dearest friend in the city, Trankar, the war wizard of the Verdant Wave Adventuring Guild. And he says, "Hello, Selv. Nice seeing you."
Trankar, it's been a little bit. Nice to see you too. How have you been?
Oh, just settling in. How's your guild headquarters?
Nicer than expected, I must say.
That's good. End of sentence.
Val chimes in, Hi, Trankar.
And just to set the scene, it is like his head and then a bit of shell is what you're seeing. And it just all slowly rotates toward you.
And you remember Val.
Hi, Val.
Hello. Are you enjoying the festival today?
Yes.
Val nods.
This lake is strange, but interesting. And he just like, you see him sink like another like 2 inches where it's like just below his nose and looks at you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you all had any jobs yet?
We did have one, but it has been completed already.
Wow. What was it?
It was a retrieval mission.
That's pretty vague, Selv.
I didn't know how much time you had.
Oh, plenty.
It was a retrieval mission for the bones. They had lost one of their members out in the wild and were concerned because they had become
Val, mine like maybe too much.
lost.
Well, I'm glad you're back.
I am too.
That's not really our kind of thing. So I'm glad you could help.
What is your kind of thing, Trankar? And Val is like actively treading water because if Trankar is deep enough to be,
Well, it's also one of those things where he's just kind of like floating, you know, and just
Okay.
is like kind of intentionally being as
Val's
encompassed by water.
Val's burning off the jerky popcorn.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and Selv will move in such a way that he could have kind of his arm out if Val needs to actually like
Wait.
hold on to something.
Can you like swish your tail over under the water so like it's
Oh,
kind
so
of
you-
secret that
yeah,
she's
sure.
standing on his tail?
you mind link that to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, he'll
please.
Like a pool noodle.
he'll move his tail over so that she has something to at least.
Thanks, so.
Oh.
He says, well, lots of things are our thing. We don't really like the undead. Well, I kind of like the undead. And the others are fine with the undead. Yanis doesn't like the undead.
Some people don't like the undead. Does he have a particular reason?
When Yanis doesn't want to tell you something, you just kind of say, okay.
He does have that vibe. Agreed.
Trankar floats back and looks at you, Selv, and says, anyway, think I need some jerky. Bye. And he starts swimming to shore. Just like Godzilla.
And then I'll just kind of shout after him.
I highly recommend the Pete's Meats popcorn.
He slowly rolls onto his back as he backstrokes away from you and says, thanks. See you around, Self. Bye, Val.
Val waves as I do it and forget we're an audio podcast.
Ain't that just the way? Over at the self-defense competition, you see quite a few different fighters. You probably see a couple of off-duty town's guardsmen who might be there, but at this point, it's been going on for some time, and these aren't really... It's not really a tournament. It's more of kind of an exhibition, if that makes sense, where it's just kind of like friendly competition, or not so friendly, but competition where it's just, let's test our skills against one another. Surprisingly, the one that you come across is maybe one that you might be extremely interested in that you see Yanis Varga and Kavos Pyrelighter of the Verdant Wave Guild sparring against each other. And again, there's no raised platforms or anything like that. It's really just like roped off areas.
Yeah.
And just kind of people milling about these. And there are several other ones, but that is one that you would notice that certainly would stick out to you.
Yeah. Kaskrin is walking towards the Red Keep field where the self-defense exhibition is being held. And he comes across several different roped off areas. And as he's moving, he's looking at the different fighters, and some of the kind of moves are things that he is recognizing.
Yeah.
And so he's looking around at these different fighters until he comes across Yanis Varga and Kavos. And he stays at a respectful distance, but he is watching their fight closely. And he kind of makes it known, like he puts himself in a position that both of them can see him watching their sparring.
So it takes a little bit, they would eventually notice, but it takes a little while. And so you get to see a good hunk of time where it is just the two of them fighting. And they are, like, as you were going around, obviously people are trying hard. They want to do their best, but also, like, again, it's not a competition. It's just, let's show off our cool fighting styles or techniques, or for some of these people, try out for, you know, for guild work, for who knows what. Those two, there is an intensity to it. And you see that Giannis is in his kind of same battle regalia that you saw, armor, gleaming sword. Like, he has his sword. It is not a wooden sword. It is nothing. It is his fucking sword that he is swinging against Kavos, who you have not seen fight yet. Yeah. And you see he is just wearing a kind of simple pair of kind of lightly loose pants that are clearly able to move around quickly in. You see his clawed feet are totally bare on the ground. And the only thing that is kind of notable is he appears to be wearing a almost like metal and leather harness that goes from kind of the top half of his chest all the way down to his fists. So he has like iron and leather reinforcing all of his upper limbs. And at the end are these spiked brass knuckle kind of things. And he is able to like move and block Giannis's sword with these things and is like trading blows. And the two of them are, I won't say a class above anyone that you see, but are clearly two of, if not the best fighters in this group.
I imagine, you know, the other rings are like, you know, they're sparring, they're like pulling punches, but these two are, they're going for it. Like yes. You said, that intensity. And there is a crowd that's being built up around them as they're fighting. Castron's watching these two pretty intensely. Like, he is trying to study their patterns of movement and seeing if there's any sort of like, if he recognizes any of the training that they've done. And it seems like Giannis fights in a particular way. Like, he has been classically trained, but Kavos is like a beast. Like, his movements are random and unpredictable, and that's what like makes him so dangerous.
Yeah, and you would know that Kavos must have had training. Like, yeah, to be but like, obviously it's kind of like there was some connection between him and Selv and their schools, their training. But for you as a trained fighter to look and be like, I have no fucking idea what that guy is doing, and it seems like bestial and seems all these other things, it would strike you as being so different than Selv, who is so disciplined, who is so precise in movements, certainly improvises, but it is a whole different class and shows how like strange and intense Kavos Pyrolighter, the Red Dragonborn, is, and wherever he learned whatever he's doing.
And Castron just goes up to some guy who's been standing there for a little bit and just asks, like, how long have they been going like this? Like, dang.
Yeah, no, it's been like 10 or 15 minutes, I think. It's incredible. Most other ones are like 3 to 5 minutes, and they are not like this. And again, this whole time you're hearing like clangs of steel against steel. Dust is getting kicked up. They're sliding around. Clearly they're starting to get fatigued, but are still absolutely just going at it.
And Castron, as he is watching them, he doesn't like Giannis, but he has to give him a grudging respect. Like, all right, he is good.
As you're talking to this person, you hear just a big clang and clatter of armor and steel hitting each other. And you look over and you see that Kavos has tackled Giannis and has his gauntleted fist pulled back, ready to absolutely slug Giannis in the face. And at the same time, you see Giannis has his sword up underneath his neck. And the two look at each other and get up and kind of nod at each other. And that is when Giannis Varga notices you notice him. And he sees you, and he makes eye contact, and then he turns around and walks away.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan, do you have anything that Checkers would have liked to have done?
And Checkers comes back with all of the wooden statues
Yeah.
from the wood carving
Yeah.
competition.
Ha. No, actually,
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I just was like, what if he spent the whole day stealing all of them and just putting them on the roof?
yeah. Guys, I have a garden now. It's wooden
It's
totems.
a garden of
specific.
wooden totems.
And terrible.
So Checkers would actually spend the rest of the day as the sun is going down near one of the rooftops by the obelisk. The giant black obelisk with the pyre and with just watching other people in the crowd performing the ritual. So he's watching them throw the jars into the fire and watching the green motes float up into the sky. And it's just kind of it's like he's just kind of taking it all in. He's surprisingly silent during this whole time. And he's up on the roof just kind of watching this for maybe a good hour or so, just watching and thinking, and Mango and Junior are by his side. Towards the end of the evening, when the sun is starting to set and he knows that everyone's about to go and meet up by the obelisk for the ritual, he would actually take off one of the large necklaces that he wears. It is probably the most prominent one. It's got a number of bright shells and several large, dangerous-looking teeth that have all been kind of woven into the necklace. And he takes it off, and he just looks at it. And he says in kind of a slightly distant voice, "You know, Mango, this past year's been a lot of fun, hasn't it? No one to tell us what to do. No rituals, no training. We get to do just whatever we want. We're not going back, right? There's no reason to." And he's just kind of staring at the necklace. "I think it's time to give this up." And Mango just kind of stares at him. And both of them are just kind of looking at each other. And he pulls out one of the jars from the ritual. And he and Mango and Junior jump off the roof, ready to meet the others.
Is everyone taking part in the ritual? If not, no worries. It is one of those things where not everyone does it. Some people do it. Some people do it multiple times across a day. Is everyone participating?
Cascarin would. He would, after spending some time at the self-defense exhibition, also grab a pot. And he has been, kind of off to one of the sides. He's got, a journal. He's just got, a pad of paper, and he's been writing something down. He rips off that piece of paper and puts it into the pot, and then continues towards the obelisk.
Val will also participate, but she has a tightly wrapped and wax sealed scroll prepared that she will put in the.
She did her homework.
Yeah. She has her own little pot. She walks up to Cass. She's like, I could have written it down and sealed it for you. Next time, let me know.
and Cascarin,
If you want,
Yeah.
I'm not pressuring you. Just I do like calligraphy.
Yeah. And he says, "I didn't really know what I wanted to give up until just now, but I do
fair.
appreciate it, Val."
You let me know. I'll teach you. Nothing says those rock cans can't have nice penmanship.
Oh, everybody's looking at me.
I don't know.
I don't know if you wanted to put something. If
I actually, I was just kind of going through and trying to figure out what Selv would give up. Actually, Selv will take one of the urns, take a piece of parchment, and when he kind of meets up with everybody, he is in the process of rolling it, and it's long and thin. So it looks like he wrote maybe a few sentences on it and then is rolling it up and placing it inside the urn.
The four of you step forward toward this big pyre. The procession takes a little while, so the sun is already pretty much gone and is now turning into night. The four of you approach the giant pyre with all of its smoke, all of its heat, the small green motes flying up into the sky and joining the stars up above you, and the obelisk at the center of it all. Next to you, as the four of you approach, is Vina Calvetta, the head of the Red Guard, who says nothing to you and looks at the four of you and solemnly nods. And as you look around, you see a nice, happy group of people. You see people who are just got done or maybe waiting in line to also throw their jars in. You see people who are sitting down to eat with their families, who are simply having a nice time here at the end of the day, maybe ready to do one last thing or a couple more hours of things for this big festival. And then you see familiar faces. You see, especially Kaskrin, Fogrin Tablestone, the dwarf you saved from the Mothmen. You see Harrison and Char, the two town guardmen who helped you during one of your patrols against the Mothman. And you see others who you know are supposed to be where the Mothman strikes. And then you hear a bell ringing. We'll say it's 8 o'clock. It's a long summer day. Rixie has 2 sons. It takes a little while. The bell tolls 8 times. And you all become aware of something. And suddenly, you all feel, partway through the bell tolling, this stab of fear through your hearts, where it's just a bestial panic. Time is slowed. You look around, and you aren't the only ones who are noticing. Some people are still laughing and smiling. Others, especially those whose faces you recognize, are clearly feeling the same thing you are. And the bell tolls its 8th time. And then tolls again. And the 4 of you look up at the bell tower. And you see a dark, shadowy creature lit against the fire, against the moonlight. Bigger than you've ever seen before, with a giant deer skull. And you hear another bell toll as around you in the middle of the square, more shadowy creatures, more Mothmen emerge from the shadows, and more bells toll. And that's where we'll end the session this week, everyone.
No!
See you next week.
One is bad enough. We'll just say there's this lovely breeze happening.
Yeah, there's the beekeepers are out in Agmar. The proud, long tradition that we've talked about in many episodes.
Synchronized bee flight.
Yeah, can there be a guild called the Beekeepers?
That's a good one.
And they
actually.
just actually keep bees?
The issue would be, well, there would be a beekeepers guild, but they would literally keep bees. It's not weird enough to be an adventuring guild name.
That's
like it would
fair.
have to be
Yeah.
beekeeper flies through the rainbow moats, and it'd be like, yeah, the bee moats. I don't know.
Yo, you down with the bee moats? I'm down with the bee moats.
Is everyone ready?
No, but get us started.
Yeah. Yep.
The time is nigh.
Before we get sidetracked.
Always.
Speaking of
correct.
sidetrack.
No.